Open up the session. Do we need to take roll call? We have a quorum.
As long as I'm
This
here.
is noted.
Thank you.
We have Mayor Hurtado absent and Councilman Real absent at the moment.
With that, we're going to go with... Perdón. Okay. This is time for public comment? If anybody wishes to have anything to say to the public? I
No
guess
requests
not.
received.
All righty. So then we're going to adjourn our closed session, if we can do that. Anybody have anything burning? David? Good to go. Carlos? We're great.
Burning desires.
Adjourn to a closed session. Roll call.
Mayor Hurtado Pacheco.
Here.
Councilmember Escobar.
Here.
Councilmember Mott.
Here.
Councilmember Real.
Here.
Attendance is noted.
Thank you. Could we have pledge allegiance? Mr. Escobar, could you lead us in the pledge allegiance?
Sure.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no closed session announcements.
Thank you. City Council met in closed session. Direction received on those two items, conference labor negotiators and conference legal counsel, but no direction, no reportable actions were taken. Thank you.
Approval of agenda.
So move. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Something, looks like something's wrong with the voice, is it? No?
It's different.
Yeah, they sound different.
Somebody move the settings.
Yeah, I can really like.
The echo.
These proceedings may be viewed on the City of Calexico website, and they'd be viewed on the Friday following the city council meeting. So today we have public comments, and we have two. And these are not on the agenda, but we have Chris Velasco. Would like to make an address. Yes, you may come up. There's a little mic.
There's your mic right there.
Good evening, council. My name is Chris Velasco. My parents are from Calexico, so I've always come here as a kid. I recently located my startup to Holtville, or just east of Holtville. It's agricultural technology. Relies on the principles of climate-smart agriculture. I can go on and on about that. But the real reason I'm here is I would like to add a shipping container home, an accessory dwelling unit in the back of my parents' home. Now, I don't know if the city of Calexico's ever had a proposal, but it's my understanding that's not allowed. I tried downloading the Uniform Building Code, the 1997 edition that I think everybody goes off of. Found out it cost $60. So my goal is to add a 499 square foot addition to the back. That way I can have a home base here in Calexico. Right now I'm at my aunt's house, and it's great, but if I'm going to be paying rent, I'd rather be paying off a loan to add an addition to that property. Shipping container homes are well suited for the desert. There's special insulation that is formatted for them. In regards to earthquakes, there's special pier foundations that actually have rubber on it, so when there is a big seismic event, as is the case here, being so close to the San Andreas, the building moves with the underground, the ground moves and the building does not as much. So I think they're fantastic. I also have a master's in urban planning from Columbia University, graduated 2013. I see a lot of potential in your downtown. I know that right now it looks pretty being vacated. With the price of the Mexican peso, the current administration, a lot of people aren't crossing anymore. So I'd be more than happy to share my ideas with the council and the city government on that end too. But
So,
Thank you.
Did you just move to Calexico?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I know this place. I always come here as a kid.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Dale, how would we go about, does he just apply or submit?
We need to get with the building department on that, and,
You could-
yes, and for the other thing, you should discuss that with Mr. Figueroa, Economic Development.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Chief Gomez?
By the way, Mexicali is building a lot of commercial space with shipping containers, and
You know-
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm sorry to take up some more time. I'm in the process of getting into Clean Tech San Diego. It's an incubator for green startups. And what I noticed is that here in the Imperial Valley, there is no place for people like me to go. This place has really a great environment to test new forms of agriculture at, which I'm doing, because deserts are expanding all across the world. And this place has really hot arid climate similar to the Arabian Peninsula. So it's a great testing place, and you guys should talk to the Imperial Valley Economic Development Corp because you have a lot of space to put something.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Chief Gomez? No one's there.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Honorable Council, City Manager, and City Attorney. As a tradition we have in the Calexico Police Department, as in other police departments, we'd like to introduce our newly hired staff. And I'd like to introduce, back there is Officer Oscar Ruiz.
Chief, could you repeat the last name?
Ruiz.
Ruiz.
Right.
Okay.
Or Ruiz.
Ruiz. Okay.
How long have you been with us? 3 weeks, sir. About 3 weeks. And next to him is his training officer, Officer Miguel Carvajal, and his supervisor, Victor Legaspi, Sergeant.
That guy looks familiar, the one at the door.
Another thing I just wanted to add about Officer Ruiz was, I don't know if anybody saw this on the social media, but a photograph was taken of him pushing a woman across the street in a wheelchair, holding a child, and another son was having a problem pushing her across the street. So Officer Ruiz dropped what he was doing and pushed the lady across the street in her wheelchair. Anybody have a chance to see that?
No.
Yeah, we saw that, yeah.
Well, 'cause
I saw
I
it on
have
social
pictures right
media.
here in case you
I
have
saw
it.
Yeah.
I just happen to have some photographs.
To serve and protect.
Exactly. And I know what you're all thinking. There's like, wow, that guy's a spitting image of Chief Gomez, you know? And I look at him, I feel like I'm looking in the mirror. It's really confusing. So like, when you see him, look for the stars. I'm the one with the stars. Officer Ruiz, would you like to say anything?
Thank you for the opportunity, and I was born and raised here in the city of Calexico, and it's pretty much a dream coming true to be able to serve here in my community.
Not only employee.
Well, welcome and
Welcome both of you.
Congratulations.
welcome on board and
Congratulations.
So he's also a stakeholder in the
I'm
community.
sorry you look like the chief. I don't know.
Okay, we're moving on to city council comments and reports of meeting. Mr. Hodge, anything?
Yes. One second, please. I remember when I had my first term, I remember being told, yeah, let's go way back. No, stop it, Mandy. I remember being told in my first term by some council members back then, administrators and permanent community members that Mexicali had no reason in the sense of business that would prove profitable to have businesses in Calexico. That the border relationship, even though we had a binational relationship, that border relationship was focused as far as business was concerned in Mexicali solamente, and that it wasn't so impossible, but just not feasible. Now, in this edition of Beyond Borders. It's not the most recent. And says Greater Yuma Economic Development. And so reading this article, I've learned that the assertions that were told to me are not true. Yuma is aggressively reaching out to companies in Mexicali to locate some of their businesses in Yuma. And echoing the concerns of Councilman Escobar and others here on the City Council, and notwithstanding the recent economic development goals of Mr. Figueroa as staff and our Economic Development Commission, I believe we, Calexico, must do the same. We must be aggressive, competitive, in convincing Mexicali that Calexico is ideal for their companies to supplant support services here, take advantage of distribution and foreign trade zone options that can exist in Calexico. The old saying, time is of the essence, is now in building stronger relationships and bringing Mexicali businesses to any capacity to our border town. So this is something, if you have an opportunity and they're still out, read the article. But again, I'm very competitive, and I don't want Yuma to get the jump on it. I'd like for us to jump on it. And I'm sure Mr. Figueroa has been working on that. But like Councilman Escobar said, we need stronger ties, and we need to create a niche, some type of economic niche. And it behooves us to do so. So thank you very much.
Mr. Rial.
Well, I just want to, I hope everybody had a great Christmas and Happy New Year's. This is our first, I think, well, we had a special meeting, but this is our first official meeting of 2018. And I just hope that, this last 2017 was a pretty good year, I think, for the council, and new guys on board, and everybody working together and steering the ship in the right direction, I believe. Got a lot of hard work this 2018, but just want to, tell the staff and the people of the City of Calexico and my fellow council members that, we got to keep moving forward. And that's about it. I did tour today the new county jail. It's pretty cool place. I don't ever want to go in there again. But it was good to see it for the first time. It's brand new, and they had the ribbon cutting today. That's about it.
Thank you. Mr. Escobar?
I've got other comments for some line items, so I'll save my time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Noted. Well, welcome, everybody. Happy New Year. As Mr. Rial said, we will continue to work for this city to make sure that we keep the citizens as number one and keep the city afloat, hopefully. Other than that, let's move on to city managers. Any?
I do have something to report. Thanks to our deputy city clerk sitting there and your leadership, we're able to start the work on Cordova Park, building 3 baseball fields, which will essentially replace Legion Park, which is going to go away when Cesar Chavez starts. So we started the planning process on that, and we look forward to starting construction sometime this year. So,
Awesome.
Good news.
Just quick comment on your comment. There used to be I think it was a Parks and Recreation Committee that had meetings on that, just so you guys know,
Sure.
if you guys want to look at the minutes on those, because I think there was a few meetings that I attended that were a little heated as far as some people felt that maybe 3 baseball fields were too much, maybe it should be 2, and a soccer field or kind of spread that evenly, right?
That field is so large, we can do 3 baseball fields and 2 soccer fields.
Awesome.
But right now, we're just focusing on those baseball fields because we know we have to replace.
And obviously you have a Parks and Recreation Director. Possibly, I'm assuming that if you guys have a heads clashing meeting, you guys can figure out what's the biggest need in the city, I'm sure. So,
Yeah.
Awesome. Good job.
Thank you. Consent agenda. Is there approval for the consent agenda?
I'd like to pull 7, 8, and 9.
For discussion, 7, 8, 9?
Yes.
Do we
I'll
want-
make a motion to approve 3, 4, 5, 6, and 10.
I'll
Is there a
second that.
motion?
Second.
So move. Item
Aye.
7, item 7.
We need to vote on 3, 4, 5, 6, and 10.
I thought we just...
No, there was
No.
a motion, a second.
We'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved, thank you. Item number 7, approve and authorize the city manager to sign the enclosed commercial lease agreement with the Mexican consulate.
I just have a few questions on it. On page 2, commercial lease agreement number 4, the term of this lease is for 1 year, calendar year 2018, and can be renewed for up to 5 calendar years, or for 5 periods of 1 year. My question is, why wouldn't we do potentially a 5-year lease on the facility versus doing a 1-year lease with 5 1-year options or 4 1-year options to make it a total of 5?
Well, I'd like to call up our Economic Development Director who spearheaded this, if that's okay, to answer that question.
And the reason for the question is, in any way where we can save time or resources, it would benefit us, and again,
The reason for that, Miguel Figueroa, Community Economic Development Director. The reason for that, Councilman Escobar, was in previous lease agreements that we had with the Mexican consulate, it was made clear that the Mexican federal government preferred to do it on a yearly basis, considering turnaround and potential binational issues that they would like to be addressed on an annual basis. That's the explanation that we came about and that we found, and that is why when this agreement was looked at again in consulting with our city attorney, it was advised that we keep it that way per the stipulation of the Mexican federal government.
Does the Trump wall have anything to do with this? No. Okay.
Thank you. The other question I have, and it might be a question for you, Mr. Figueroa, or for Mr. Dale. In reading this, obviously, we all know we're going through a financial crunch here. Crisis is probably a much more appropriate term. It would probably be a good read for the city council to review all city-owned properties, what the lease terms of those properties are, how much money we're getting from them. I think it's important that we review every contract, especially the ones that have a $1 for a year lease or a 0 for a year. It's an in-kind. I think it's time for us to review everything. Some of them might remain the same, but we need to look at each and every contract moving forward. And I think it would be
It behooves us.
something we need to do.
And I do have, Mr. Dell, I do have a comment on that. Given the need and the financial state of our city, that is something that I have tasked my staff to look into. And right now, we are creating a brand-new database of all leases that the city of Calexico has. And we're coming across very pertinent information in terms of why we need to have up-to-date documentation. And we are establishing a new process in terms of how we are going to bring to your attention when lease agreements need to be renewed. And so we're pretty much starting something that will make us understand and have on a day-to-day basis and know which leases are up to expire, so we can immediately address that. Not only that, make sure that payments are secured and that we work closely with our finance department to make sure that our accounts receivable portion of this complex process is taken care of accordingly.
I'm going to jump the gun here because I know it's at the end of the agenda, but we're on the subject anyway. Is this something that we could potentially look at adding to our agenda, not next meeting, but the meeting after that, which is basically roughly in a month?
Absolutely. I'll be more than happy to present the work my staff has been doing so we can have a clear picture on the total number of lease agreements that we have and what the status of each one is.
Are we in agreement on that?
Yeah, I think specifically it's extremely important with all the widening and everything that's going on Cesar Chavez, the properties the city has there, make sure we are very intelligent when we do leasing there, because obviously that area is going to grow a lot. So
Absolutely, you can count with that. We'll present that to you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Fierro.
You had it on your agenda anyway to
Yes,
do that
yes.
for us. Thank you.
I have no further questions.
Item number 8.
Prosecution.
You want to approve 7, or you want to
Just
just,
thinking the same thing.
motion to approve 7?
Hold on.
We'll make a motion to approve number 7 now.
Second?
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 7 is approved.
I have a
Hi.
question regarding number 8, now that they brought it up. I know that, did we make sure that this ground covering for this park is gonna withstand the heat? I know that the last one that was installed was extremely expensive, and it didn't last 5 years. That's my question. I know that sometimes we purchase things in the city of Calexico without really taking the heat into consideration, and I just want to make sure that we're spending our money the right way. The previous surface had to be taken out completely because that's how bad it was, and I think they installed sand instead of that. So just want to make sure that we did the best that we could on that.
Yeah, it's a good idea, and I think that was taken into account when we
Okay.
decided. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve item 8.
I've got a question real quick.
Oh, okay.
And it's related, and the reason why it's related, under fiscal impact, page 2 of our report, it says the city would remain eligible for 20,626 reimbursement for the servicing, blah, 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 blah. The main word here of that sentence is the word grant. I know Mr. Villa was working with an entity out of Sacramento on specific grant writing to benefit our city. It would probably be a good idea that we get an update on where we stand on those grants, what's been done, what funds are expected in fiscal year, in this case 17, 18, and beyond.
Yes, sir, I think that's a good idea, too. We'll get that to you.
Thank you. I make a motion, well, you have to do the.
Well, here's the issue. I just want to thank Mr. Dale for taking into account the citizens had a concern with this type of covering, and they garnered over 180 signatures to make sure that what we were providing was going to be safe, and kids weren't going to choke on it, and it's going to last. So we
Kudos.
It
kudos to
wasn't,
staff. So
it's not me, that's our deputy city clerk sitting there. She's the project manager on that one. so.
all those in favor of approving item number 8?
Aye. On
Pass.
item 9, we did get, how many bids did we get on this?
We only received one bid because all the contractors seem to be busy at this point, and so we only received the one bid, but it was within our budget and within our CIP numbers. And-
Is it something that's time sensitive, or is it something we can still go out to bid on?
It's extremely time sensitive. We got three projects within one here. The first project is a Cesar Chavez. It's a water pipeline that has to be installed before Cesar Chavez. Well, Cesar Chavez has been a little delayed, so that one's not too bad.
How are we putting these bids out?
Well, we bid it according to the city's policies of.
Which would be right now, where are we actually putting the bids right now? Do you know?
We
As far as-
advertise them in the paper, I believe, is what it.
Just the newspaper?
And the website. And the website. Yeah.
City website and newspaper? Is there emails sent to IVEDC so they can get it out to their people as well? Because I usually get IVEDC's bids, and I didn't get this bid.
5 agencies picked up plans for this bid.
Thank you.
So 5 agencies came and picked up the specs for it in the hopes
5
of.
companies.
5 companies did pick up
Not, but
specs.
as far as
But only
agencies-
one.
In hopes of
Yeah.
responding,
And only one responded.
and only one responded.
And the engineer of record also contacted all of our local contractors for them to bid.
Now, was this process done in haste because it's a time-sensitive issue, or it's been done months before, but now it actually needs to be completed?
It's extremely time sensitive because what I was going to allude to was that as you had directed me when I first started as Public Works Director to replace the water pipelines before we pave. And so on Grant Street, we're going to be paving that later this year. So we want to replace that pipeline, and the project's on hold until we get that water pipeline replaced. The other one that's actually even more time sensitive is the water meter at the water plant, because the water plant has to be shut down for that meter to be put in, and we have to put it in during the low flow season, which is in February. So that's why we're pushing this as fast as we can.
Now, one of the things as far as doing construction right now on Grant is one of the main arteries people are using because 98 is too congested. Is this the appropriate time to do this?
It's before we do the paving, unless we want to leave the line and pave.
Well, the reason I'm saying is because everybody's using Grant right now and 98. Those are the two arteries right now for all the mayhem that's going on. If we start construction on Grant right here, right now, I mean, you
Imagine after the port end opens, it's going to be even worse.
Well, but the thing is,
chief will figure it out.
I think if we go, why is it, I can take it back. I understand why it's an emergency now because of timing.
Yep.
What I don't understand is, we've been talking about the new port of entry and these needs for some time now. Why wasn't it done before?
I can't answer that. I wasn't here. I don't. All I know is there's a need now, and we've got to get it
So
done.
basically, we dropped the ball.
Attorney, as far as us only receiving one bid, I mean, is that legal?
No, it's legal. It was properly bid, and if we just had one bidder, then we went through the process, and
Wow.
it's
Will we have to shut down the water supply for any specific area of the city?
No, that area we can just shut, but for the water meter itself, yes, we have to shut down the whole water plant. And so it's going to be done at night at the low flow season, and we'll turn on the east side reservoir, so the water pressure will never drop.
So water will be available 24/7 for the residents of Calexico?
Yes,
There's a
but
plan.
if we wait until the summer, it won't, east side reservoir is not powerful enough to feed the whole city at night even. But during February season, it is.
Is there any way that we can talk to Caltrans and find out when that intersection of Cesar Chavez and 98, when people will be able to start turning on those lanes before we do this? Because I
You're worried
drive
about the
past that
congestion.
10 times a day, and it's bad now. I can imagine if you close Grant,
That intersection is going to open in February, as I'm told.
so this would be after February?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Motion to approve 9?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Pass. So we have all the consent items have been taken care of. 10, I'm sorry.
Yes, no, 11.
Okay, very good. Moving on to discussion and potential action items. Number 11,
Go ahead.
consideration of the amended professional services agreement for the city attorney services with Best Prager LLP.
I have a question. Is this something that we should possibly table or for the next meeting due to our mayor not being here, or do we feel
We have a quorum.
just a thought?
No.
Okay. Motion to approve.
I'll
Not
second.
gonna-
quick staff report. Just wanted, it's an amended agreement with Bass and Krieger, my firm, an equity partner with the firm. The agreement pretty much does two things. One, it reduces the current rates we charge the city. Right now, our current rate we charge for general counsel services is like the type of work we're doing right now is $231. Under the agreement, that would be reduced to $210 per hour for the first 50 hours. After 50 hours, it would be $225, which is still lower than $235. And obviously, that retainer, we can raise it depending on how, within 6 months once we look at the hours. Additionally, for special counsel, our current rate is $290. Under the agreement, it'd be reduced to $285. And then the other but just the other principal change, it redesignates our relationship with the city. Currently, we're interim. We've been interim now for about 2.5 years. Now it just makes us permanent. Other than that, if you look at the agreement, and I did highlight the sections that were updated, the agreement remains the same. It can be terminated within 30-day notice by majority of the city council. Like I said, all the other terms within the agreement would be the same. That's the true principle. Reduces the rates and it moves us from interim to permanent city attorney.
Okay, so
Any other questions?
No.
Okay.
We were engaged, now we're getting married, pretty much.
All those in favor of
Aye.
item 11?
Aye.
So move. Item number 12. Hope Pharmacy, business license late fee waiver request. Mr. Dale?
The proponent is not here that I can see unless she's here.
Did you want to give us any background? Or?
Yeah, this business owner paid their business license late, approximately 3 weeks. I don't know the reason why it was late, whether the invoice was received late or it just wasn't paid on time. But there's a concern regarding how we charge late fees, and we charge late fees on a percentage basis instead of maybe a lump sum fee or something like that. And the concern also from this business owner was that there are multiple businesses that do not have business licenses, potentially, and that the city is not following up on those. And in response to that, we are hiring a code enforcement officer, and we feel like that the revenue received from that code enforcement officer from going after these business licenses will pay for the whole salary. So that's what we're looking at.
I have a question. When you say, I personally had a business in the city of Calexico for many years, and I know I would receive sometimes my business license notification till January or February. So
Last minute.
When did she?
I don't have it.
Do you have the dates when she was considered late?
Yes, it's January 31st. After that date, it's late. So February 1st, it would have been 10%.
We're talking about last year, is that correct?
Yes,
What is this amount that we're requesting to waive?
$214.
it's
That's the late
213 and
fee?
change. Yeah, her business license was over 2,000 for that year. So 10% was about.
So it's prorated, pretty much.
It's 10%.
I don't know. I feel,
Her business license was $2,000.
Yes.
I think if
It's
she
something
pays
we have to look
$2,000
at.
for a business license, I think we should help her out. I mean, we want business in Calexico.
It's
I
a
mean,
precedent as well that you have to.
has she ever
consider.
she's never been late on before, historically?
That I know of. And
See, the problem is you
We
do
do
set a
it, yeah.
you do set a precedent, and we are in a
Open.
fiscal crisis. Having said that, she paid $2,200 for a business license.
Yeah.
Do we have an idea, and this goes for the staff attending of the meeting, do we have any idea as a percentage how many businesses in Calexico are not paying their business license?
That-
Ballpark, 10%, 5%, 1%?
I can tell you there's a list, and that's hard. I haven't had, a business I closed 5 years ago still gets a business license.
We are doing a poor job on our end
Yes.
from a statement and collection standpoint. Is that a fair assessment?
well,
Oh, for
following
sure.
up on businesses that may never have paid a business license, we don't have a record of. It would take some boots on the ground going out there. And
Mr. Campos, what is the protocol if they don't pay their business license, like a property tax where if you don't pay property taxes for 5 years, you lose? I mean, it gets liened and it gets repossessed?
Potentially, if we probably have, we'd have to follow up with code. I think we probably have a third-party administrator that handles that to extent.
My understanding from that going through this in the past is there's businesses in the city of Calexico who haven't paid a business license
For
over
years.
10 years. And the city maybe Ralph can talk about it, but my understanding is the city council, they can fine them, but there's no ordinance nothing that says that the city can actually close them down. So that's what's been happening.
Okay. We can look into that.
Okay.
For sure.
Do you want to? Okay. Okay. The city council would have to either amend our ordinance or somehow to be able to give the authority to staff to be able to actually close a business.
That's
correct?
correct.
Okay.
We do have a policy where code enforcement goes out there and issues a citation. So there's 3 consecutive citations that are issued, one for 150, 300, and 500. But as far as that goes, the other thing that code enforcement does, or the city does, is send them to collection to be able to collect.
Mr.
But
Murat?
in order to close the business down, then it would have to go through legal. to be able to.
But
do
as of
that.
right now, we don't have, legal doesn't have we don't have the.
Staff.
Not the staff, it's the language to actually close someone down. That's
That's
my
correct.
understanding.
That's what I'm hearing.
There's also some businesses that have found a loophole how to, you change the business license to another name, and then boom, you start over again. And it's something that needs to be taken care of, for sure.
As I've said on for the second term, and I know Mandy has brought this up before, but we've gone through this over and over again about business licenses, and I think it is a failure on our part not to be more systemic and organized and enforcing late fees and creating a picture as to who's late and who isn't and how many businesses we have and so forth. I know we're understaffed, but interim city manager, you made a good comment the other day that if we did get somebody to just solely look at this problem, that it would probably, if he or she did a good job, would pay for the salary alone. And it would be a source of more revenue coming in. I'm not saying a whole lot, but it is a bad precedence and an image that we have businesses that have continued not to pay their licenses for years and years.
And this particular business owner always pays their business license, it's just this one time was late, so.
And is she saying it's late because she didn't get the notice?
We don't know, she doesn't know. It's
Okay.
been a year, so she doesn't,
You know what, I personally, I don't know.
It's a
Hope Pharmacy has been there a long time. I'm not a customer. I don't think I've ever even been in there, but $2,000 business license, and she's been there, I don't know, 10 years or so. I'm willing to help her out, I think.
But
If somebody else was to come and, we'll figure it out then, I guess.
Well, the thing is, somebody else is going to come, and then
Yeah.
it's going to be the same issue. We had one 2 months ago.
we're going to open up a Pandora's box.
Could we make some sort of proposal, could you make a proposal to us, maybe limiting, typically when you get a credit card, you get
Right.
one late fee waiver per year. You get maybe one late fee business license waiver every 5 years. If you
Well-
paid on time for 5 years, well, I'm just talking out loud.
You know what? I think what's probably what's probably not fair is that she's probably saying because if her business license would have been $10,000, then her late fee would have been $1,000.
yeah.
So that's probably not fair. It should probably be a
Fixed fee.
$100 late fee or $50.
A flat rate.
In that aspect, I do agree with her.
Me too.
So maybe
Maybe we can look into the late fees. and
Being
maybe
fixed.
come up with
Yes.
something more.
We might need to overhaul our whole business
Exactly.
license.
Well, time and time again, business owners have complained about our very high business license fees.
Not
Right
just-
now, right now, it's maybe not the best time to reduce our revenue streams, but if we can look at a late fee and also push the businesses that aren't paying their business license.
Let me piggyback on that also. One of the things, and again, we tried to fix this probably 3 years ago when I came on council and didn't happen. Another thing that businesses do is they come to the city and say, I want to get a business license in June, and they're made to pay the full year.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know what, I'll just be illegal for 6 months and then come pay it in January. That's also something that that's
That puts them in that position.
It should be either based on
When you open your business.
exactly, and we're charging everybody in January. Where possibly it could be, we charge you depending on what month you opened or something.
Or you do a prorated fee depending on when you open and then you start in January
Correct.
again.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think we need to revamp the issue.
Research and
Agreed.
investigate on
Mr.
this.
Dale, if you could.
But
Work on that. Yeah.
But,
Just
here
use
now.
common sense and we'll be okay.
May I make
Okay.
a comment, Mr.
Hodge,
Pro
go
Tem?
ahead.
I was nice the last time the gentleman got up, but it kind of bothers me that in the letter, what is said, that when all businesses in Calexico are up to date, having paid any and all fees, including the late fees, I will be more than happy to pay my late fee for 2017. Well, this is a tough call, but again, we might be opening a Pandora's box.
Yeah, and she probably knows people who haven't paid, that's why she's saying that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's call for the question.
Oh, boy.
I
don't know about this one.
I make the motion that we waive that fee. I really do. Businesses are hurting, but if everybody else feels differently.
Is there a second on that motion? To
Second.
waive? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
In favor? 1, 2.
Opposed? No.
No.
All right.
So it'll,
That doesn't pass.
You want to bring it
pass?
back next time? or
okay.
We could bring it back.
Bring it back next meeting?
You guys are just mean people.
Okay, we'll need to bring that back because it was 2-2 split, so we'll do it again.
Can we flip a coin or?
Item number 13. Since these are for the mayor to do, I think we should hold off on those.
It's not time sensitive.
So we can wait for her to do that one. But we could skip 13 and wait for the mayor to do that one. Item 14 is Mr. Escobar. Do you have anybody for the planning commission?
I'll table for next time, next meeting.
Wow. Table that. Item 15, she's not here. Mr. Hodge, do you have anybody for that commission?
Tentatively, the young man says yes, so I hope he doesn't change his mind, but he's at the high school, and he conducts a drama class, and his name is Carlos Alvarado.
Carlos
Alvarado.
Alvarado.
Alvarado. The gringo usage would be Alvarado.
Okay.
I'm only half Mexican.
Okay.
There's a lot of appointments. Does this happen every year, or how often do these change?
Yeah, well, I guess.
Or are they mayor appointments?
With the change of mayorship, some of these appointments have to occur.
Yeah, but it seems unusual this year.
Date, so we needed to.
When was the last time this happened?
On each staff report, it should state the last appointments, but I believe they were appointed under your mayorship last.
No, I don't remember.
Okey-doke. So
Appointing people.
if we look at items 16, 17, 18, and 19, and 20, those are all for the mayor to select someone. So if we can add those on to the next meeting, that way she can handle those issues.
Motion to adjourn.
We have
Up
one
to
more
20?
item before we go anywhere.
Do we? No, they're all.
No, I think
No,
that's hers
21.
too.
What about 21? Oh,
21
yeah,
is
that's an
hers
appointment.
also. It doesn't say. Okay. so
Motion
we'll
to
do all
adjourn.
those,
I'll second that.
all those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
So moved.